Indiana. Lived there till I was 27. And then went to the Black Hills along with everybody else. That's during the gold rush. Then I quickly found that help was needed in Deadwood because of all the trouble there. Trouble was rampant. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So much trouble, in fact, that they had an overflow of prisoners in their jails. And me and the other deputies used to have to take wagon loads of prisoners to other spots in the state, jails, prisons, insane asylums. Some of the jails and prisons didn't want them because they were so crazy from opium and alcohol, different things, so they'd turned them away, so we had to take them to insane asylums. So, did that for quite a while, but got tired of that because it was just non-stop trouble all the time in Deadwood. Calamity Jane, she was one of them, always in trouble. Drunken, profane woman, always in trouble, in jail. And so finally got tired of that and got into the firefighting business because fire was a big problem in Deadwood too, because there was no building codes there. And you could build a building this close to the next one if you wanted to. And so once one caught fire, it was a chain reaction half the way through town. And by the time somebody realized it, half the town was burned up. So there was a need for fire prevention. So Hank got the idea, a couple ideas. He started inspecting chimneys because once in a while one of these fires would take place because of a chimney getting the creosote build up inside, and it would start a chimney fire, and that would start the roof on fire. So he started inspecting chimneys, and since he was in with the law, they imposed a law that said you had to clean your chimney once a year at least, and they held him to it. If you didn't clean your chimney, you got arrested and fined. So that helped a little bit. And then the other idea he had was to build a fire tower, or a lookout tower of sorts, in back of the community church in Deadwood. This was a tower that was probably about 3 stories high. And in the top, he had a cable that went from the tower back to the church bell. And so he could look all the way up the draw from this tower and see if there was a fire. He'd pull the cable, and it would alert, and it would ring the bell, the church bell, and that would alert the firefighters in the fire hall if they were there. But most of the time they were across the street in the saloon. So he'd have to go over there and roust them out, drag them across the street, load them up on the trucks, and send them off to the fire. But there was lots of fire there. There was lots of murder, destruction, blood every day. There was so much that it just broke old Hank's heart, and ended up moving his family to Missoula. So once in Missoula, he continued with his idea of fire towers. He thought that was a good idea wherever he was. There's always a need for fire prevention. So it was his idea, I think, that spurred somebody into building the fire towers around here, which turned out to be a really good thing. And the other thing he did while he was here is he ran a stagecoach from Missoula to West Yellowstone with tourists, Europeans, East Coasters, anybody who wanted to go and was willing to pay the price and make that long trip. It's about, 200 miles or so on the old trail. It was a long stagecoach ride. But I was thinking how interesting it must have been for those tourists to hear his stories of his days in Deadwood, South Dakota. So anyway, back here, Hank finally had it with the old stagecoach. It was too hard on his back. In Deadwood, he sustained an accident, fell off a hook and ladder truck, hurt his back, got started on the morphine, and kept taking stronger and stronger doses until finally he overdosed in the year 1897 and died. Unfortunately, he was quite the character. I'm thinking.
He's got a little gravestone.
I'm thinking, see how much it was covered up? They had to dig way down in here to get that grass up. And so I'm thinking they found that by accident.
Yeah, he was just forgotten.
because there's nobody else in the family to look after it.
Right.